I'm Alyssa Dunn, 26 years old, and for 3 years, I've been raising my sister's 4 kids like they're my own. My bakery business crashed and burned, leaving me broke. So, I moved in with her to start over. But instead of rebuilding my life, I became her unpaid nanny, cooking, driving, and parenting, while she worked nights and barely showed up. I juggled a part-time coffee shop job and late-night graphic design classes, chasing a dream that felt further away every day. Then one night, she dropped a bombshell. She's pregnant again. With her 5th kid. My stomach twisted. I'd given up everything, my savings, my goals, my freedom, and now another baby. I was done. I snapped, my voice shaking as I stormed to my room. Her face hardened, like I'd betrayed her. I decided right then to move out to finally live for myself. But she didn't let it go easily. Her reaction was explosive, and things spiraled fast. What happened next turned our family upside down. Looking back, every day with my sister's kids felt like a never-ending battle. I woke up to the usual chaos. My alarm blared at 5:30, piercing the quiet dawn like a siren, and I dragged myself out of bed, the cool hardwood floor shocking my bare feet. The oldest, Logan, 15, was already arguing with his sister, Ellie, 12, about who got the last Pop-Tart. "You ate mine yesterday," Ellie shouted, slamming the cupboard with a resounding thud that echoed through the kitchen. The air filled with the sweet, artificial strawberry scent of the toaster pastry, mingling with the faint bitterness of yesterday's coffee grounds. I stepped in, splitting the pastry in half, while Hunter, 9, spilled orange juice on the counter, the sticky liquid pooling and dripping with a citrus tang that stung my nostrils. Nora, 6, clung to my leg, her small hands gripping my pajama pants, begging for braids before school. Her hair smelled like lavender shampoo from last night's bath, a brief reminder of the tender moments amid the madness. I barely had time to gulp cold coffee, its bitter chill jolting me awake, before piling them into the car. The drive to school was a circus, Logan blasting music through his earbuds, the bass thumping faintly. Ellie complaining about math, her voice rising in frustration. Hunter asking random questions about dinosaurs, his excitement bubbling over. And Nora singing off-key, her high-pitched notes clashing with the radio static. By the time I dropped them off, my head was pounding, a dull ache settling behind my eyes from the constant noise and motion. I rushed to the coffee shop for my 6-hour shift, steaming milk that frothed with a hissing sound, forcing smiles for cranky customers. "Can you make it quick?" a guy in a suit barked, like I wasn't already juggling 3 orders, the steam wand's heat making my palms sweat. I earned $15 an hour, barely enough to cover my phone bill and gas, the coins clinking in my tip jar, a mocking reminder of my dwindling independence. After work, I picked up the kids, the car's exhaust fumes mixing with the schoolyard's earthy playground scent. Helped with homework amid scattered papers and pencil shavings, cooked spaghetti that bubbled on the stove with a savory tomato aroma wafting through the house, while breaking up another fight this time over whose turn it was to feed the dog, his eager panting adding to the din. Cheryl, my sister, worked night shifts at the supermarket with her boyfriend Blake, so she was either sleeping or gone. I'd catch her for maybe 10 minutes a day when she'd mumble, "Thanks for holding it together," before crashing on the couch, her snores a distant rumble from the living room. Nights were my only escape. After tucking Nora in, her soft blankets warm against my skin, and checking Ellie's algebra, the equations blurring under the dim lamplight, I opened my laptop for graphic design classes. I'd always loved creating logos, the click of the mouse, and the vibrant colors on screen, pulling me into a world of possibility. But staring at Photoshop tutorials at midnight felt like chasing a ghost. My eyes burned from exhaustion, the screen's blue glow straining them, and I'd nod off mid-lesson, waking to a dead battery and the faint hum of the house settling. One night, Ellie crept in, her footsteps soft on the carpet, asking why I looked so tired. "Just trying to keep up," I said, forcing a smile that didn't reach my weary eyes. She hugged me, her arms warm and comforting, and for a second, I felt needed. But then I caught myself, needed for what? Changing diapers, driving carpools, wiping tears. This wasn't my family. I started noticing how much I was carrying, the weight pressing down like an invisible backpack. Logan needed rides to soccer practice, the grass clippings sticking to his cleats and tracking mud into the car. Ellie had a dance recital I couldn't miss, her tutu rustling as she practiced spins in the living room. Hunter's science project was due, glue and glitter everywhere, sticking to my fingers. And Nora's asthma meant constant trips to the pharmacy, the sterile smell of medicine lingering on my clothes. I was spending my savings, $3,000 from my failed bakery, on their school supplies and doctor visits, each receipt a painful reminder of my vanishing dreams. Cheryl pitched in sometimes, but her money went to rent and groceries. Blake, who worked the same shifts, never offered a dime. "You're so good with them," Cheryl would say. Like it was a compliment. But it wasn't. It was a trap. I was living her life, not mine. One evening, feeling the exhaustion creep into my bones like a cold fog, I called Tara, my best friend, to vent. "I'm drowning," I told her, pacing the kitchen while the kids watched TV, the cartoon laughter, a stark contrast to my frustration. The floor tiles were cool under my socks, and the scent of cooling spaghetti sauce hung in the air. Tara, who ran her own graphic design gigs, didn't sugarcoat it. "You're not their mom, Alyssa. You can't keep putting your dreams on hold." Her words hit hard, sharp as a knife. I looked at my laptop, open to a half-finished logo project, the pixels mocking my stalled progress, and realized I hadn't submitted anything in weeks. My professors were emailing about missed deadlines, their messages piling up like unread bills, and I was falling behind. The kids weren't the problem. I loved their chaos, their quirks, Logan's sarcastic jokes that cut through the tension, Ellie's shy smiles that lit up her face, Hunter's endless questions that sparked curiosity, Nora's clingy hugs that wrapped around my heart. They were family. But I wasn't their parent. Cheryl was, and she was barely there. Blake, too, acted like the kids were my responsibility. I'd overhear him joking with Cheryl about teamwork. But their teamwork meant me doing everything. While they lounged or left. That night, after the call, I couldn't shake Tara's words. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through Reddit, landing on the AITA subreddit. Am I the Asshole? Where people shared stories of family drama. I searched for posts about siblings and childcare, and there they were. ITA for refusing to keep providing my sister free childcare. One read, detailing how the OP's sister expected endless babysitting without thanks, much like Cheryl. The comments flooded in. NTA, you're being exploited. Set boundaries now, or it'll never end. Your life matters too. Another post. AITA for lashing out at my brother for dropping kids off without notice. Again. NTA verdicts everywhere, with users sharing tips on saying no and reclaiming time. Reading those, my heart raced. It was like looking in a mirror. I felt validated, a rush of relief washing over me like cool water on a hot day. These strangers got it. They saw the exploitation I was too close to recognize. Inspired, I joined an online forum, R divided by family dynamics. A supportive community for navigating tough relatives. I posted anonymously. Sister, treating me like free nanny. How to set boundaries. Responses poured in overnight. Document everything. One user advised. Practice saying no with scripts. Another suggested, sharing phrases like, I love the kids, but I need time for my goals. A therapist in the group linked articles on caregiver burnout, emphasizing self-care. One tip stuck. Remember, boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. It was eye-opening. These digital voices cheering me on, making me feel less alone in the chaos. I started calculating. 10 hours a day on the kids, 6 at work, 3 on school. That left maybe 5 for sleep if I was lucky, my body aching from the grind. My dream of designing full-time, of building something for myself, was slipping away, fading like ink in water. One night, after Nora cried herself to sleep over a lost stuffed animal, her tears soaking my shirt, I sat alone, staring at my sketchbook. I'd drawn nothing but stick figures for her lately. Not the bold designs I used to create, the paper crisp under my fingers. My chest tightened, a sob catching in my throat. I wasn't just tired. I was disappearing. Every day I spent raising Cheryl's kids was a day further from who I wanted to be. I loved them. But I couldn't keep sacrificing myself. Something had to change. A week later, I was folding laundry, the fabric softener's floral scent clinging to the air, when Cheryl burst through the door. Her face lit up with a grin I hadn't seen in months. Right behind her was Blake, carrying a pizza box and looking smug, the greasy aroma filling the room. "We've got news," Cheryl said, her voice sharp with excitement. She grabbed my hand, pulling me to the couch, her grip tight. "I'm pregnant. 5th kid. Can you believe it?" Blake nodded, tossing the pizza on the table like it was a celebration. My jaw tightened. I forced a smile, muttered, "Wow, congrats." Inside, I reeled. Another kid. I was stretched thin. They acted like it was my job to cheer. That night, over dinner, Cheryl dropped the real bomb. "We've been talking," she said, glancing at Blake, who leaned back with a smirk. "You're so good with the kids, Alyssa. We need you to step up more. Maybe quit the coffee shop to focus on them full-time." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. "Quit my job," I repeated, voice low. Blake shrugged. "Yeah, we're swamped at the supermarket. With the baby coming, we can't handle everything," Cheryl chimed in. "Plus, we're tight on cash. You could chip in $300 a month for rent. It's only fair since you're living here." My pulse raced. $300. I scraped by, poured savings into their needs. I tried calm. "I'm already doing everything: school runs, meals, homework. I can't quit." Cheryl's eyes narrowed. "You're here, eating our food, using our space. You owe us," Blake added, his tone mocking. "It's just temporary. We'll figure it out after the baby." Then he leaned in, smirking wider. "Besides, that graphic design stuff? It's cute, but it's not a real job. More like a hobby for when you're bored. Stick to what you're good at: watching the kids." His words stung. Like knives. Mocking my dreams. I'd heard stories online. Families belittling siblings' ambitions, turning them into punchlines. Just like those YouTube revenge tales where brothers mock sisters' careers until karma hits. Casual tone boiled my blood. Temporary? 3 years as crutch. Stood. I need to think about this. Walked out. Before regret. The next day, I called Tara while kids were at school. Phone pressed to ear. "They want me to quit my job and pay rent," I said, voice shaking, anger hot, acting like I'm their live-in maid. Tara didn't hesitate. "They're using you, Alyssa. Not their employee. What about design classes? Your future." Words stung. True. Caught in keeping family afloat, forgot my goals, hung up, stared at laptop, unfinished logo, pixels blurred, falling behind. For what? Playing mom. But Blake's mockery echoed. Not a real job, hobby. Flashbacks hit hard. Childhood. Cheryl. Older by 5 years. Always bossing. "Alyssa. Clean my room while I play." I'd scrub. Dust flying. Throat dry. She'd laugh. "You're good at chores." Stick to that. Mom worked doubles. Left us alone. Cheryl exploited it, blamed me for messes. Alyssa broke the vase. Lies. Punished. Grounded. Dreams mocked even then. "You want to draw? That's kid stuff." Her voice sneered. In my head. "Now," echoed in Blake. Cycle repeating. I wouldn't let it. Over next days, Cheryl and Blake pushed. "Think of the kids," Cheryl said one morning. Handed list. Groceries, doctor for Nora's asthma, soccer fees. Blake suggested selling bakery equipment. "Help out," he said. Casual. I wanted to scream. Not asking. Demanding. Give up life. Started noticing dodges. Cheryl slept through arguments. Kids yelling. I'd mediate. Peacekeeper. Blake hung out after work, joking with Cheryl. While I cooked. Stirring pots. Steam burning face. Invisible. Tool for ease. Inspired by Reddit forums from before, I dove deeper online. Searched articles, stories about sisters refusing babysitting demands. Found AITA posts everywhere. 1. AITA, for refusing to babysit after sister demanded I stop my plans. OP panicked call, but sister said no. Comments. NTA. You can decline anytime. Another. AITA for refusing after sister refused my favor. Reciprocity lacking. NTA. Don't want to babysit. More. Sisters called narcissists. Enablers. If you're babysitter, not family. Validated again. Like mirror. Entitled families expecting free labor. Refusing. Supported. Boundaries key. Heart pounded. I could say no. Deserved better. Guilt gnawed though. Owed them? For roof? Flashbacks again. Childhood. Cheryl taking credit. My art projects. I helped. Lies. Teachers praised her. I silent. Exploited young. Now adult. Time break. But guilt tripping strong. Cheryl's words. You owe us. Looped. Needed help. Remembered forum tips. Free hotlines. Dialed NAMI helpline. 800-950-6264. Voice shaky. Family guilt tripping me. Exploiting for childcare. Counselor calm. Guilt common in exploitation. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're healthy. Recognize manipulation. Say no without explaining. Advice sank in. You're not responsible for their choices. Hung up. Empowered. Less alone. Could set terms. One evening. Logan caught me packing laptop. After late study. Screen glow dim. You okay? He asked. Sarcasm gone. I hesitated. Trying to be. He nodded. Understood more. Kids saw. How much I did. Cheryl. Blake acted duty. Went bed. Mind racing. Savings dwindling. Classes slipping. Dream fading. Had find way out. Not just me. Show kids not abandoning. Started checking rentals online. Fingers trembling. Typed. $300? Rather own place, not servant. Done treated like one. The next evening, I was helping Ellie with history. Textbook heavy. Pages rustling. Cheryl stormed in. Arms crossed. We need talk, she snapped. Voice cut quiet. I set book down. Braced. What's up? Tone even. Cheryl wasted no time. Not pulling weight, Alyssa. Asked step up. Still coffee shifts. Irresponsible. Breath caught. Irresponsible? Ran household years. Doing everything I can. Sharp. Cook, clean, drive. She rolled eyes. Not enough. Baby coming. Need here. Not chasing hobby degree. Stood. Chair scraped. Design not hobby. My future. Cheryl laughed. Cold. Bitter. Future? Living my house. Eating my food. Think too good now. Words slapped. Fire back? Ellie watched. Eyes wide. Deep breath. Not servant, Cheryl. Given 3 years. She stepped closer. Voice low. Not all in? Maybe shouldn't hear. Froze. Kicking out? Turned. Left. Shaking. Anger boiled. Grabbed phone. Called Tara. Paced backyard. Grass cool. Night air crisp. Called irresponsible. Tight. Owes entire life. Tara. Calm. Firm. Set boundaries. Not employee. Mom. Deserve space. Goals. Nodded. Invisible. No. Kids need me. Tara cut. Need mom. Not sacrifice. Find place. Savings. Words sparked. Focused Cheryl demands. Forgot self. That night, opened laptop. Searched apartments. Madison. Studios downtown. $1,500 month. Savings $3,000. Cover deposit. First rent. Keep job. Extra shifts. Crunched numbers. Heart raced. Fear. Excitement. Make work. Had to. Kids' faces flashed. Logan's worry. Ellie's hugs. Hunter's chatter. Nora's hands. Leaving hurt. Staying. Losing self. The next evening, I was helping Ellie with her history homework when Cheryl stormed into the kitchen, her arms crossed. "We need to talk," she snapped, her voice cutting through the quiet. I set down the textbook, bracing myself. "What's up?" I asked, keeping my tone even. Cheryl didn't waste time. "You're not pulling your weight, Alyssa. I asked you to step up, and you're still working those coffee shop shifts. It's irresponsible." My breath caught. Irresponsible? I'd been running her household for years. "I'm doing everything I can," I said, my voice sharp. "I cook, clean, drive the kids every day." Cheryl rolled her eyes. "That's not enough. With the baby coming, we need you here, not chasing some hobby degree." I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "My design classes aren't a hobby. They're my future." Cheryl laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "Future? You're living in my house, eating my food. You think you're too good for us now." Her words hit like a slap. I wanted to fire back, but Ellie was watching, her eyes wide. I took a deep breath. "I'm not your servant, Cheryl. I've given you 3 years of my life." She stepped closer, her voice low. "If you're not all in, maybe you shouldn't be here at all." I froze. Was she kicking me out? Before I could respond, she turned and left, leaving me shaking with anger. I grabbed my phone and called Tara, pacing the backyard. The grass was damp under my feet from evening dew, crickets chirping in the cooling air. "She called me irresponsible," I said, my voice tight. "She thinks I owe her my entire life." Tara's voice was calm but firm. "Alyssa, you need to set boundaries. You're not her employee or her mom. You deserve your own space, your own goals." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "I know, but the kids, they need me." Tara cut me off. "They need their mom, not you sacrificing everything. Find a place of your own. You've got savings, right?" Her words lit a spark. I'd been so focused on Cheryl's demands, I hadn't thought about what I could do for myself. That conversation echoed the Reddit posts I'd been reading. Back in my room, I scrolled through more AITA threads. AITA for setting boundaries with my entitled sister who expects free childcare. One OP described refusing to babysit after years of exploitation, and the family surprisingly sided with them. Nieces and nephews even thanked her for showing strength. Comments piled on. "NTA boundaries build respect. Your family will adjust, and you'll inspire them." Another. AITA. For moving out after sibling guilt tripped me. Again. NTA. With users sharing how siblings rallied around the OP, realizing the parents' flaws. It was motivational strangers rooting for independence, proving that setting limits didn't mean losing family, it meant gaining allies. These stories fueled me, making my decision feel right, like a path to empowerment others had walked successfully. That night, I opened my laptop and started searching for apartments in Madison. I found a few listings. Small studios downtown around $1,500 a month. My savings, $3,000 from my old bakery, could cover a deposit and first month's rent. I'd need to keep my coffee shop job, maybe pick up extra shifts. I started crunching numbers, my heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. I could make this work. I had to. But the kids' faces kept flashing in my mind. Logan's quiet worry. Ellie's shy hugs. Hunter's endless chatter. Nora's clingy hands. Leaving would hurt them, but staying meant losing myself. To get motivated, I pulled up YouTube and searched for tutorials on budgeting and independence. One video, How to Move Out on a Budget. Real tips for young adults, caught my eye. The creator, a woman in her 20s, shared her story of escaping family drama. I was in your shoes, exploited, exhausted, but with smart budgeting, I reclaimed my life. She demonstrated spreadsheets on screen, tracking expenses like rent and groceries. Cut non-essentials, meal prep, side hustle if needed. Another, Independence 101, setting boundaries and thriving alone. It included affirmations. You deserve peace. Moving out isn't selfish, it's self-care. I paused the video, inspired, and created my own budget sheet. Simple, empowering. Watching these, I felt a surge of motivation, like I was joining a community of resilient people building better lives. The next day, I sat Logan down after school. I'm thinking about moving out, I said, watching his face. He frowned, picking at his hoodie. Because of Mom? He asked. I nodded. I need to live my life too, but I'll still be here for you guys, just differently. He didn't say much, but I could tell he was processing it. I spent the evening mapping out a budget. $1,500 for rent, $500 for utilities and food, $200 for my classes. My coffee shop pay $15 an hour, 30 hours a week would just cover it if I cut corners. I'd have to skip new clothes, eating out, anything extra. Did you know? According to a study by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 62% of young adults who move out from family homes report improved mental health, citing reduced stress from setting personal boundaries. It was a reminder. This step wasn't just escape, it was healing, motivational for anyone watching their own family struggles. Cheryl noticed my distance over the next few days. You're acting weird, she said one morning, catching me checking listings on my phone. I didn't look up. Just planning, I said, my voice flat. She scoffed. Planning to bail on us? Typical. Her words stung, but I didn't bite back. I was done fighting on her terms. Tara texted me later, checking in. You're doing the right thing, she wrote. Don't let her guilt trip you. I clung to that, knowing I had to break free. I wasn't just leaving a house. I was claiming my life back. By the end of the week, I had a list of apartments to visit and a plan to make it happen, no matter what Cheryl threw at me next. A few days later, I slipped out after dropping the kids at school to visit my first apartment listing in Madison. The studio was small, just a single room with a tiny kitchenette, sunlight streaming through a window overlooking a quiet street. But it was mine to imagine a space where I could breathe, work on my designs, be me. The landlord quoted $1,500 a month plus a deposit. I nodded, clutching my phone where I'd saved screenshots of 3 other listings. My savings, $3,000, would cover the move. But I'd need to stretch every penny. Back at Cheryl's, I kept my plans quiet, dodging her pointed glares. I wasn't ready for another fight, not yet. Instead, I focused on preparing the kids, starting with Logan. After dinner, I pulled him aside while Ellie helped Hunter with a puzzle. Logan, we need to talk, I said, handing him a notebook. If I move out, you'll need to step up. His eyes flashed with anger. You're leaving us because of Mom, aren't you? He snapped, tossing the notebook on the table. I kept my voice steady. I'm not leaving you. I'm teaching you how to handle things. I showed him how to make a grocery list, plan simple meals like tacos, and check Nora's asthma inhaler. He grumbled but listened, scribbling notes. You're 15, I said. You're smart. You can do this. His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Ellie overheard us and cornered me later, her voice small. Are you moving because we're too much? She asked, twisting her hair. My heart sank. No, Ellie. It's not you. I just need my own space. She hugged me, her face buried in my shoulder, and I felt her quiet sobs. I held her tight, promising to stay close. Hunter and Nora were trickier. At 9 and 6, they didn't grasp the full picture. Over breakfast, I explained I might live somewhere else soon. Hunter frowned, stirring his cereal. "Who's going to help with my science project?" he asked. Nora's lip trembled. "Will you still braid my hair?" I reassured them I'd visit, but their confused looks lingered. I spent the next few days visiting more apartments. One had a view of a park, leaves rustling in the breeze. Another was closer to the coffee shop, with easy bus access. I narrowed it down to a studio I could afford, costs in my head. My job brought in about $1,800 a month. Enough for rent, utilities, and food if I skipped extras. I'd have to pause my design classes for a month to save cash, but I could pick them up again. Tara called to check in, thrilled I was moving forward. "You're taking control," she said. "The kids will be okay. They've got you as an example." Her words gave me strength, but the kids' reactions weighed heavy. One evening I taught Logan how to use the washing machine. "Load it like this," I said, showing him how to measure detergent, the soapy scent filling the laundry room. He rolled his eyes but paid attention. "Mom never does this," he muttered. I nodded, keeping quiet. Logan was starting to see Cheryl's absence, and it hurt him more than he let on. Ellie stayed close, helping Nora with bedtime stories, but her eyes were red. Hunter kept asking when I'd visit, and Nora clung to me, whispering, "Don't go far." I felt torn, but I couldn't back down. By the end of the week, I'd scheduled a lease signing for the studio. I packed a small bag, clothes folded neatly, my laptop, a few sketches, keeping it hidden in my closet. Cheryl hadn't noticed, too busy with Blake or sleeping off her shifts. I told the kids I'd move soon, but promised to call daily and visit often. Logan's anger softened into a grudging nod. Ellie gave me a drawing of us together, her way of saying she'd miss me. Hunter and Nora still seemed lost, but I hoped they'd understand in time. I wasn't abandoning them. I was showing them how to stand up for yourself. As I finalized my plans, I felt a flicker of hope. I was ready to take this step, even if it meant facing whatever came next alone. This wasn't just my story, it was a reminder that setting boundaries can lead to real freedom, inspiring anyone feeling trapped to take that first motivational step. The following week, I hauled my last box into my new studio in Madison. It was small, with just a mattress and a desk, but it was my own space. A fresh start. The air smelled of fresh paint and possibility, sunlight filtering through the blinds in golden streaks. I arranged my laptop and a few sketches, feeling lighter than I had in years. I sent a quick text to Logan, Ellie, Hunter, and Nora, promising a pizza night soon. Cheryl hadn't spoken to me since I signed the lease, her cold shoulder a relief after months of tension. Inspired by those Reddit revenge stories I'd been reading, tales of siblings finally standing up after years of free babysitting exploitation, like the one where an OP refused and exposed their sister's dirty tricks to the family, I decided to protect myself. In one AITA post, the commenter advised documenting everything to counter false accusations. So, I downloaded a simple app on my phone, one for logging notes and voice memos. "Just in case," I whispered to myself, recording a quick entry. "Moved out today. No damage left behind. Took nothing but my own stuff." It felt petty, but empowering, like the subtle revenges in those stories where people complied maliciously or turned the tables quietly. I thought I'd left the chaos behind, but I underestimated her. 3 days later, my phone rang with an unknown number. "This is Officer Doyle from the Madison Police Department," a steady voice said. My stomach dropped, twisting like a knot. "We've received a complaint. Can you meet us at your sister's address?" I drove over, my mind racing, heart pounding against my ribs. Rain slicked the roads, wipers slashing frantically. When I pulled up, 2 officers stood outside Officer Doyle, clipboard in hand, and Officer Reed, scanning the street under the gray sky. Cheryl was on the porch, her face flushed with rage, arms crossed like a barrier. "She stole $500 and trashed our stuff," Cheryl shouted, jabbing a finger at me, her voice echoing in the drizzle. "The washing machine's broken, and the sofa's ripped." I blinked, shocked, rain dripping down my face. "I didn't take anything," I said, my voice firm despite the tremor. I moved out clean. Officer Doyle raised an eyebrow, water beading on his cap. Let's see the damage, he said, voice clipped. Cheryl led us inside, the house reeking of stale air and neglect, pointing to a sofa with a torn cushion, old stains peeking through, and a washing machine that wouldn't start, its door hanging limp. She did this before she left, Cheryl insisted, her eyes wild. I shook my head, pulling out my phone discreetly to start recording via the app. I haven't touched your things. I've been at my place all week. Officer Reed examined the sofa, noting the faded fabric and embedded dirt. This doesn't look recent, he said, his tone skeptical. He checked the washing machine, finding a loose wire tangled with lint. Could be wear and tear, he added, glancing at Cheryl. I turned to her, anger surging. You know I didn't steal anything. Search my car, my apartment. Go ahead. Officer Doyle looked at Cheryl, pen poised. You're claiming theft and vandalism. Got any proof? Cheryl hesitated, her eyes darting like trapped animals. The money was in my dresser, she muttered, voice cracking. She knew where it was. Before I could respond, Logan stepped into the room, his face tense, fists clenched at his sides. I need to talk, he said, glancing at the officers, his voice steady but edged with fury. My heart pounded. What was he up to? Logan faced Officer Doyle, standing tall despite the storm outside, rattling the windows. Mom's making this up. That sofa's been torn for months. Hunter spilled juice on it last summer. The washing machine broke weeks ago because Mom overloaded it. And the money? She spent it on groceries and never told anyone. Cheryl's eyes widened, her face paling. Logan, that's enough, she snapped, but her voice shook, cracking like thunder. Logan didn't back down, his gaze fierce. Alyssa's been more of a parent than you. She paid for our school stuff, drove us everywhere while you and Blake were barely here. I stared at him, my chest tight, tears pricking my eyes amid the drama. Officer Reed jotted notes, his expression neutral but probing. So, no theft or recent damage? He asked Logan. None, Logan said, crossing his arms defiantly. Mom's just mad Alyssa moved out. Cheryl's face reddened, but she stayed silent, defeated in the moment. Officer Doyle sighed, clipping his pen. Ma'am, false reports are a problem. We'll let this slide, but don't call us unless it's real. The officers nodded to me and left, their footsteps heavy on the wet porch. I pulled Logan aside in the driveway, rain soaking us both. You didn't need to do that, I said, my voice soft, hugging him tight. He shrugged, kicking a pebble into a puddle. You don't deserve this. You've always been there for us. I fought tears, the drama peaking in that raw family moment. Back at my studio, I called Tara, still rattling, pacing the bare floor as thunder rumbled outside. Cheryl tried to pin theft and vandalism on me, I said, voice trembling. Logan set them straight, but I'm done with her games. I opened the app, replaying the recording, her accusations clear as day. Tara's voice was sharp. She's lashing out because she's losing control. Keep your distance and keep documenting. Those Reddit stories you mentioned? Use it like they did. Expose if needed. I agreed, staring at my bare apartment. It wasn't much, but it was mine, free from Cheryl's lies. That evening, I texted Ellie, checking in. She sent a photo of her latest drawing. Hunter asked about visiting, and Nora begged for a story over the phone. I promised to see them soon. But Cheryl's accusations changed everything. Logan's words hit hard. She and Blake were barely there. The kids deserved better, and I couldn't keep shielding Cheryl's failures. Worrying about their mental health gnawed at me. Studies show that caregiving adolescents, like Logan stepping up too soon, report significantly lower levels of mental health and lower grades compared to non-caregiving peers. His anger, Ellie's tears, they were signs of the stress building, and it broke my heart. I sat at my desk, sketching a new logo, my hands steady for the first time in months, the pencil scratching softly. Cheryl could try to sabotage me, but I was building something new, and no one could take that away. 2 weeks later, my phone lit up with a call from Logan. His voice was shaky, breaking the quiet of my studio. "Mom's in the hospital. Something about her pregnancy. The kids are freaking out." I froze, my coffee mug halfway to my lips, hot steam fogging my vision. Despite everything, Cheryl's accusations, her lies, I thought of Ellie's tearful hugs, Nora's braids, Hunter's chatter. They didn't deserve this. But Logan's worry cut deep. He sounded on the edge, the weight of it all crushing him. I drove to the hospital, my mind racing, tires humming on the wet pavement. A doctor, Dr. Patel, met me in the waiting area, her white coat crisp under fluorescent lights. "Your sister has placenta previa," she explained, voice professional but kind. "She needs bed rest, possibly until delivery." I nodded, my chest tight, the beeps of monitors echoing down the hall. 3 months. That's what she'd need. I found Cheryl in her room, pale and quiet, a stark contrast to her usual fire, IV tubes snaking across her arm. "The kids need you," she said, barely meeting my eyes, voice weak. I wanted to walk away, the drama of her false report still fresh, but Logan's call echoed in my head. "I'll help," I said, my voice steady, "but only for the kids. And on my terms." Cheryl frowned. But I didn't waver. "I keep my job, my apartment, and I'm not paying you a dime. I'll stay for 3 months max to get the kids through this." She nodded, too tired to argue, the monitor's steady beep underscoring the tension. I wasn't here for her. I was here for Logan, Ellie, Hunter, and Nora. Back at the house, the kids were a mess, the air thick with fear. Ellie clung to me, whispering, "Is Mom okay?" Her small body trembling. I hugged her, promising Dr. Patel was taking care of her, but her sobs racked us both. Hunter kept asking why Blake wasn't home, his questions frantic, and Nora refused to sleep without me nearby, her whimpers piercing. Logan tried to hold it together, but his clenched fists betrayed his worry, eyes shadowed with exhaustion. The house felt like a storm had hit, dishes piled in the sink, clattering as I moved them. Laundry overflowing, musty smells rising, homework scattered like debris. Blake was nowhere to be seen, his work shifts at the supermarket stretching longer than usual, excuses texted vaguely. When I finally saw him, he barely spoke, grabbing a beer with a clink and disappearing to the garage, door slamming. "He's been like this since Mom got sick," Logan muttered, his voice laced with resentment. "I took charge, but not like before." I showed Logan how to split chores with Ellie, dishes for her, the clatter of plates echoing, laundry for him, the machine humming to life. "You're the team now," I told them, voice firm. Hunter and Nora got simpler tasks like tidying their rooms, their small hands fumbling but learning. I stuck to my conditions, driving over after my coffee shop shifts to cook dinner, the sizzle of food comforting, and check homework under the kitchen light. I refused to sleep over, heading back to my studio each night, the drive a boundary I held sacred. One evening, Ellie asked, "Why can't you stay?" Her eyes pleading. I knelt beside her, heart aching. "I'm here for you, but I need my own place." She nodded, but her eyes were sad, the drama of separation heightening. Blake's distance made things worse. He'd come home late, barely acknowledging the kids, his footsteps heavy and indifferent. One night, I found Nora crying because he'd forgotten her school play, her sobs guttural. "He said he'd be there," she wailed, tears streaming. I held her, my anger at Blake simmering like a pot about to boil over. Logan overheard and scoffed. "He's checked out. Always has been." I didn't argue. Logan was right. The family was unraveling, threads fraying, and I couldn't fix it. Not fully. I focused on keeping the kids stable, making sure they ate, slept, and felt safe, all while documenting my visits in the app. Helped with chores, no overnights, boundaries held. It was my petty safeguard, inspired by those revenge tales where documentation turned the tide. Tara checked in one afternoon while I was helping Hunter with math, numbers blurring on the page. "You're doing too much again," she warned over the phone, her voice cutting through. Don't let them pull you back in. I sighed, glancing at Logan's weary face. It's just 3 months, for the kids. I've got boundaries this time. But I worried deeper about their mental health, Logan's anger, masking, anxiety, Ellie's clinginess, a sign of stress. Tara wasn't convinced. Watch out for Cheryl, she'll lean on you when she's out. I knew she was right, but the kids' faces kept me going. I wasn't their mom, but I couldn't let them fall apart. By the second month, I'd settled into a routine. Work. Help the kids. Back to my studio. Cheryl called sometimes, asking for updates, but I kept it short. Blake's absence grew heavier. He'd mumble excuses about overtime but never pitched in. Logan stepped up, handling grocery runs and calming Nora's nightmares, but I saw the strain in his eyes. One night, he admitted, I'm scared for Mom, but I'm mad too. She's never here, even when she's not sick. I nodded, my heart aching for him. I couldn't stay forever, but for now, I'd hold things together. As I drove home, my sketches waiting on my desk, I felt a quiet resolve. I was helping, but I wouldn't lose myself again. 3 months later, Cheryl was discharged from the hospital, her newborn son in her arms. I'd kept my promise, helping the kids through her bed rest, but I was done. I met her at the house one last time, my resolve firm. I'm out, I said, standing in the kitchen, the scent of fresh baby formula lingering in the air. I love the kids, but I can't be part of this anymore. Cheryl's eyes narrowed. You're abandoning us again, she snapped. I shook my head. I've given enough. You're their mom. Step up. She didn't respond, just turned away. That was it. I walked out, cutting the cord for good. I couldn't leave the kids hanging though. Logan, Ellie, Hunter, and Nora deserved better than their parents' mess. I called Tara, who lived closer to them. Can you be their lifeline? I asked. She agreed without hesitation. I started sending her $50 a month from my coffee shop paycheck to cover school supplies or snacks for the kids. Tara set up video calls twice a week, and I'd guide Logan through algebra or help Ellie with essay outlines, the screen glowing with their eager faces. Hunter loved showing me his science projects, his experiments bubbling virtually, and Nora would chatter about her drawings, her voice tinny but full of joy. It wasn't the same as being there, but it kept us connected without Cheryl's chaos pulling me back. Word got back through Tara that Cheryl's life was falling apart. Her job at the call center let her go too many missed shifts during her recovery. Blake packed a bag one night and left. No explanation, just gone, the door slamming in his wake. Logan told Tara their neighbors stopped coming by, tired of Cheryl's excuses and drama. The kids were struggling, but I couldn't fix their parents. I focused on what I could do, sending a little money, checking in through Tara, encouraging Logan to keep the younger ones on track. It hurt to hear Ellie's voice crack during our calls, but I knew staying away from Cheryl was the only way to protect myself. For closure, I turned back to Reddit, where it all started for me. Inspired by real AITA posts like those where people refused to help with half-siblings after years of exploitation and shared their stories for validation, I posted my own update anonymously on r, divided by AITA, and r divided by family dynamics. AITA, for cutting off my sister after she exploited me for childcare and tried to sabotage my move-out. I detailed the police stunt, the hospital help, and my final cutoff. Comments flooded in. NTA, you've been a saint, time for you. Closure comes from sharing. Proud of you for boundaries. One user shared their similar tale of refusing step-sibling, babysitting, and finding peace through posting. Reading the support, a wave of relief hit me, like exhaling after holding my breath for years. It was cathartic, turning my pain into a story that helped others, just as those posts had helped me. Meanwhile, I threw myself into freelancing. I'd been taking design classes online, and a classmate connected me with a small business needing a logo. That job led to another, then a website redesign for a local cafe. To level up, I dove into YouTube channels for success tips, watching videos like Secrets Behind a Successful Freelance Graphic Design Business and Get Better Graphic Design Clients. Vertical Bar 8 Proven Ideas. Creators shared practical advice. Build a strong portfolio on LinkedIn. Avoid underpricing value your work. Network relentlessly for high-paying clients. One tip stood out. Use social media and SEO to attract clients, like optimizing your profile for searches. I applied it immediately, revamping my LinkedIn with mood boards and case studies, and soon inquiries trickled in. By the end of the month, I had 3 steady clients, enough to quit the coffee shop. I spent my days sketching, tweaking layouts, and pitching ideas, the click of my mouse, a rhythm of progress. My tiny studio, now lined with mood boards and color swatches pinned to the walls, felt like home, vibrant and alive. For the first time, I was building something real, something mine. A client paid me $500 for a branding package, and I nearly cried, the notification chime echoing my victory. It was more than I'd made in a week at the coffee shop. Tara kept me updated on the kids, but also warned me about Cheryl. "She's been asking about you," Tara said during one call. "Says you owe her for everything she did." I laughed bitterly. "She can't guilt me anymore." I'd learned my lesson after her stunt with the police. I told Tara to keep my number private and only pass on messages from the kids. Logan texted me one night, saying Cheryl was struggling to pay bills. I sent Tara an extra $20 for groceries, but didn't reach out to Cheryl. She'd made her choices. The kids were my focus, even from a distance. I mailed Ellie a sketchbook for her birthday, and she sent me a drawing of us together, labeled Best Aunt. Her colors bold and bright. Hunter called to tell me he won a science fair, and I cheered him on through the screen, his trophy gleaming. Nora asked for stories over the phone, her voice brighter when I made up silly endings, laughter bridging the miles. Logan was quieter, carrying too much for a 15-year-old. "Mom's not trying," he admitted once. I told him to focus on school and promised I'd always be there, just not in Cheryl's house. As my freelance work grew, I landed a contract with a Madison startup, designing their entire marketing campaign. It was grueling late nights, endless revisions, but it paid enough to cover my rent and save a little. I wasn't rich, but I was free. Cheryl's world was crumbling, and part of me felt the weight of her downfall, but I couldn't carry her anymore. The kids had Tara, and they had me in the way that mattered. I looked at my latest design, glowing on my laptop screen, and felt a surge of pride. I'd built this life from nothing, and no one could take it away. To keep the momentum, I reflected on a motivational quote from empowerment articles that resonated. "You are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. And you are here now with the power to shape your day and your future." It reminded me that self-empowerment isn't about perfection, it's about choosing growth every day. If you're feeling stuck, remember, your story can change, just like mine did. This journey from exploitation to empowerment shows that revenge isn't always dramatic. It's reclaiming your life. If Alyssa's story inspired you, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more tales of family twists and triumphs. Comment below. Have you set boundaries with family? Teaser. Next video. A sister's secret affair leads to explosive revenge at a family wedding. You won't believe the fallout.